to Comic Talk, hosted to you by not only myself, Marty from Comic Book Fanatics, but also my man Ray Jr. right here. I know it has been a minute since we've actually got on and done some type of show or Comic Book Fanatics show, but today we have a very special guest that's going to grace us with his presence and probably drop some knowledge on us for today. If you guys don't know, we have a very special guest, Lords of the Long Box, TVO, and we'll get into that in just a second. But Rage, say what's good for everybody, man.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Like Marty said, I know it's been a long time since you've seen us together hosting a show, and I feel kind of, honored that we got the man TVO here tonight as a our first time back in a long time, because he'd be dropping that knowledge on what's happening in the comic book industry and movie industry. So looking forward to it.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks a lot, Ray. And first of all, if you don't know who TVO is from Lords of the Long Box, then you probably won't want to get off that under that rock, or stop becoming a hermit inside that cage that we're living in, because TVO's been around a minute now. Unfortunately, his channel was closed down just recently due to some problems with YouTube and the platform that we're using and everything. TVO, do you want to go ahead and introduce yourself once again for the probably like the 100th time being on someone else's show, and just talk a little bit about your channel right now?
Well, the first thing I'm going to do is the only thing I'm here to school you on is spelling, okay? Because obviously you don't know how to spell fanatics. Right? Comic book fanatics. I don't even know how that goes. Ray.
I was supposed to lead into that one, man. Okay.
This mug been off YouTube for so long. The game has lapped him about 12 times. Yo, this is TVO on a channel called Lords of the Long Box. I've been on here for a minute, probably about 2015. Messing around with the comic book fanatics, NY Warriors, and all the crew, all the cats. Geez, I don't know. What about July 25th or 26th? I've been searching it recently, and there was a new terms of service that YouTube dropped on July 22nd for some copyright stuff, and there was some mass terminations that happened on YouTube, and my channel got caught up on it. And the only thing I could find is I didn't have any strikes against my channel per se for like harassment or scam or any of that stuff, but I had a lot of copyright things which typically shouldn't be affected. Obviously, I used to do a lot of music, DJing and playing tracks and stuff like that, and that's the only thing. I did a appeal to YouTube, and I still haven't heard back yet. So but they have like 1,000, 10,000 appeals a day, so they take their time going through it. So you know what? I got time to wait for that, man. Ain't nobody got time for that. I got to keep on going. So
I hear you. Now, do you think it has to do something with maybe the music content that you put on there, or do you think maybe, because one of the videos that you have put on there, one of the ending trailers with Stan Lee's, do you think maybe that had something to do with it, or do you think maybe the music content?
I don't know, because typically copyrights they give you a ding. I've had videos muted before because of music. I've had videos removed before because I was playing like John Williams Star Wars music. So having an entire channel deleted, though, that's crazy, because I'd never heard of that happening. And typically you get a warning. I didn't get any warning. I just got an email saying your stuff's been gone. So I was like, all right, so screw it. I'll just, when right then we're about 5,000 subscribers, and then I was gone. So we had to start from scratch again. And we were just starting to catch our stride with the Black Knight report and all the news that we were dropping. Some other places have finally cited us as sources. So who knows? Maybe it was one of those haters out there that are watching the show right now that are professional internet scoopers that block me on Twitter.
Yeah. Now the show's come a long way since last I was on it. I think
Marty, evolution has come a long way since
evolution, and I will tell you, man, YouTube, the content and everything, the streaming, the software, all the platforms that I was used to back in 5 years ago has definitely progressed. And it is just amazing some of the viewabilities as far as the streaming and the HD graphics and everything else that they put on there. It's just absolutely out of this world. I remember we were just doing regular shows on Google Plus or what the YouTube platform had at the time. But now some of these people here, it's just amazing. I mean, I'm still trying to figure out how to use this platform that we're using right now.
It was called Google Hangouts. That's how long it's been for you.
Am I showing my age here?
Yes. I mean, you're saying things like an 80-year-old person, high definition. And this, dude, it was Google Hangouts. And it was, however great that it allowed you to you could put a 1080 stream if you wanted to, if your cameras are good enough. So it's all about the quality of what you're outputting is what YouTube will allow. But I think Google Hangout just recently ended, so everybody's either been using StreamYard or what we started using about a year ago with Darkside Jedi being the admin is Wirecast. A lot of cats use OBS as well because YouTube was like figuring why are we giving these people a free platform to use, right? Because they're spending all this time developing Google Hangouts, but it was free. They weren't charging people for it, so they're like, yeah, we're just gonna stop this. There's a Google Suite that I think you can use that is you have to pay for. Basically, it's an enterprise edition of their stuff. So basically, it's like you would be within the Skype network as opposed to StreamYard is really smart. They took advantage of, saw an opportunity in the marketplace and took advantage of it and offered this, a StreamYard. It's pretty cool that they did that. And all you guys using the free one, be careful because I'm pretty sure the free StreamYard version is going to go bye-bye very soon now. And they're going to make and it won't cost that much, but why should you offer it for free? It's a classic dope man trick, right? Give them a free taste and then make them pay for it afterward.
Now you also do a collab, or should I say they do collab with you, Three Men in the Basement, people like the Otto from the Grotto and Nemesis Prime. Now, unfortunately, they weren't able to join us tonight. I invited them on the show, but they had a few things going on.
No, but you got trolls in your live chat. Some dude named Undisputed Frost. I don't even know who that dude is.
Hey, what's going on, Undisputed? Welcome for joining us. And also, let's see who else we have. Mr. Unknown Comic Guy.
Key to a live chat. Always engage in your live chat audience. Make them make sure they feel like they're part of the conversation, or else they're just going to leave the live chat and no longer talk to you.
Kind of like what we used to do back when we were.
Well, you should still do it now. You or Ray, one of you guys should be in there, and I don't see anybody with a wrench in there either. So what you need to do is click on somebody's name like Ray, click on the three dots next to him in the live chat in YouTube, and make him a moderator. So that way you have people who can moderate the chat. Come on, man, get with it. This is embarrassing.
I know it's embarrassing. Unfortunately, it's more embarrassing for me than it is for you. So let's
people to moderate the chat in YouTube.
Let's talk a little bit about the show, Three Men in the Basements as well. You go on to that show, you talk a little bit, and you kind of collab with them. You guys kind of do a show together, and it's definitely progressed from when myself and Marky 316 used to be on a show. Tell me, how did you come up with that type of platform as far as being able to spill some of the information that you guys got on there now?
It's the same platform, just different people. People come, they go, and so you were on for a while. Mint Collectibles on for a while. 3 Men in the Basement is now there. Market 316, Jealous Comics comes in.
In other words, you be getting the free agents.
No, man, people want to grow and do their own thing. Marty was one of the originals on there, along with James, the collector, who's no longer basically on social media. And then Marty had to leave, so we had Marky fill in. And then we had Otto was basically Otto does the same thing we did, same age, same type of collector, doing the old stuff, the Star Wars stuff as well. So it was a perfect match for him. He brought along Nemesis Prime, but it's still been me and Darkside Jedi, along with Otto, 3 Men in the Basement. Nemesis Prime was part of 3 Men in the Basement, so we were doing the same thing, talking about comic books, talking about things that affected. But like my show it's always been about more along the lines of comic book movie news and TV news. Since let's face it, there's like 5 dozen channels that just sit there and talk about comic books, and there's nothing wrong with that. I appreciate that too. I watch those shows, but I'm not trying to sit there and watch somebody talk about the new comics they got that day. You know what I'm saying? On the live show, but that's fine. Some people, that's their niche, right? And they do it really well. We just don't do that. I mean, the cats on my show are just a little bit older. We don't, I guess we don't, but we rather talk about, hey, we just picked up Strange Tales 111 or something like, you know what I mean? It's, I guess, like we always said, it's more, I wouldn't say it's more for the season collector, but for guys that get like the bigger back issues, the blue chippers, stuff like that. And then we kind of segued onto movie news, comic book news, because now there's so much out there. You can actually talk just about comic book TV news and movie news, and you could fill up a whole hour.
And a lot of it goes into in your show. A lot of it goes into what we should probably be looking at and expecting as far as speculation goes. And I know it's always been like that, but you guys, you definitely raised the bar when it came to that. When you're talking about a little bit of history of that comic book, talking a little bit about what we're looking at as far as GPA goes, and maybe how we can find it at a reasonable price. So you've definitely raised the bar on that. And with that said, you also have a certain insider source that kind of helps you out along this path as well. And some of the things you guys talk about, upcoming comic books that are starting to go up. Let's talk about Marvel Secret Wars number 1. We see that starting to go up in price right now, as opposed to, say, Secret Wars number 1, issue number 8, right? Whereas that one used to be the big, I guess, comic book at the time, but now we're seeing Marvel Secret Wars number 1.
Well, yeah, because about 2.5 weeks ago, Wednesday, 2 weeks ago, on 3 Men in a Bit. Well, it was going to be on my channel, but my channel got shut down. So we immediately went on my homie, Otto, and 3 Men in a Basement. And that's when we dropped the Secret Wars leak. And then I went on the Gem Mint's channel. Hold on a second. Let me ask. Black Knight just dropped me a piece of news on to make sure that I can actually say it on the show. And while he's doing that, let me just introduce you to. Go ahead and do that. Let me work this out and then bring it back.
Sure, no problem. And just a little shout out to everybody who's joining us on the chat today. I really appreciate you guys joining us. I know it's been a minute once again that we've actually did a comic talk show, or myself and Ray has actually come on live together and just talked a little bit about comic books and trying to interact with the community. But what the big thing about this show is, because TiVo lost a lot of his content, his past content, and they had so much great videos on there. You had the whole playlist of what we used to do when we did Lords of the Round Table and the Long Box, and so many names that we used to utilize back then. But all his content from 2013, 2014 has always all been gone, and now a lot of his subscribers. So with that said, I've always been about trying to help the community out and trying to get people back to where they need to be, or trying to, get people in the community to come together. So with that said, this is the main reason for the show. I mean, and just TiVo being.
Are you sure? Because it sounds like an NPR episode. Come on, man, wake up, snap yourself out of it. What the fuck? This is supposed to be exciting.
This is exciting, and I'm very excited.
Are you sure about that? Yeah. Anyway, Jesus Christ, Ray, talk to your boy, man. Snap him out of it. Jesus Christ.
Have I that blue moon?
Have I lost
too many blue moons, or is he heavily medicated? I don't know what it is, man. Jade, man, you got to be exciting if you want people to watch. That's all I'm saying. So anyway, I just got this bit of news drop right now. So for those who don't know, probably about 5 months ago, I did a show. And I had speculated that, there's a reason why comic book prices jump for no reason at all. There's a secret, group of people that have insider information, and they don't share it, and they go out and they buy all the books, and that's why the prices just go up for no reason at all. Perfect example was She-Hulk from 3 years ago. Just went up for no reason at all. Right. After that show, the Black Knight reached out to me via Instagram instant message and said, "Hey man, I saw your show." He watched a Comic Time 101 episode. Shout out to Comic Time 101. And he said he found my channel through Comic Time 101 because Comic Time 101 had given us a shout out. So see how it all spreads. And I'm spreading this disease to comic book fanatics so you guys can get some eyes on there. So don't turn it. So when you get the funk, you got to bring it, Marty. You know what I'm saying? You got to be excited and bring the enthusiasm. But anyway, he told me, you're right. He's part of secret Facebook groups that talk amongst each other when they get news, and they spread it out to each other, and they don't leak it out to news outlets. They go out and they buy all the comics, and then they'll talk about it. So I was like, you know what, this is awesome. And we basically became friends, and he said, you know what, I like your way that you guys deliver your concept. I really think it's great. You guys are enthusiastic and positive, and plus he also hates Grace Randolph as much as I do, and how bad her YouTube channel is. So we bonded over that. So But then we started doing this weekly thing. And at first, somebody tells you that you're a bit skeptical, right?
Right.
But he provided me with receipts, and I've never shown those receipts. Maybe, you know, Darkside Jedi saw it because I had to. Darkside Jedi is, you know, part of the channel. He's the producer on Wirecast. I said, I have screenshots with timestamps about stuff he said was going to happen that happened. He basically talked about Shang-Chi and Captain Marvel probably back in 2015, which is pretty early, or 2016 is when they started buying the comic. That's how this iteration of what on the Lords of the Long Box, what we call the Black Knight Report, which is what we drop every Wednesday, where we give insider scoops. We also have the long-term spec list, which is like a private reserve list that Kevin Feige puts characters on hold, right?
Sure.
So when he says it puts on hold, that means, hey, I want to do something with this character down the road. It could be 6 months, it could be 3-4 years down the road, but then it tells other people like Jeff Loeb or ABC or Marvel Animation, hey, this is what I'm going to do with it. Don't do anything with it. Or if the Marvel Comics plans to do something with it, Jeff Feige has an idea where he wants the character to go. And that's why a lot of times in tandem, you'll see what Marvel Comics does is at the same time with the movies, right? There'll be omnibuses and new series that drop to kind of help promote the show along. You know what I mean?
Hey, Marty, a guy in the chat, in John We Trust said you sound nervous, so he's got a cure for that, and that's the smoke. Take it all the way.
I think it's not so much that I sound nervous. I think it's the fact that it's been a while since I've actually done a live show like this. I think I've lost a lot of my enthusiasm that I used to have, or forgot my enthusiasm that I used to have. So give me a second, guys. I need to.
Man, either you have it or you don't. No. Here's my thing, man. I've always told people, if you want to do a podcast, you know, if you don't have good lighting and good, if you don't have good video and good sound, at least be enthusiastic. Nothing worse than somebody who's just sitting in the dark with bad sound and who has no enthusiasm, right? You know what I mean? It's one or the other.
Hey, so Tim, I know when I watch your show, you know, I'll be working out when I watch your show or whatever, and you get all this scoop from the Black Knight.
Yo, man, first of all, I don't have a show quite that often, Ray, because you always working out.
every Wednesday. Every Wednesday. But I'm just saying, as in, when you get your information, there's no such thing as 100%, but it seems like when you spit it out, because from your sources, it seems like it's dead on or whatever. Like when you mentioned about the Journey in the Mystery, first, you know, Hercules. Yeah. You know, I already had that book, but, you know, whenever you mention, I normally make sure I got that book, because you're normally dead on with it, with your sources.
Well, I wouldn't even say that. We're not dead on. Nobody is. Everything, because I always try to remember to preface things I say on the show by things are subject to change. And the most obvious example of that is Mahershala Ali and Blade. We had Blade coming to Hulu, but then Mahershala Ali called up, you know, Marvel and was like, yo, I want to do Blade. And they were like, okay, you want to do it? It's yours now. So then they made a Blade movie. So everything is subject to change. You know what I mean? Things change, schedules change. I mean, one of the first things we nailed was that Mandarin was going to be the villain in the Shang-Chi film, right? And then that's when I got blocked on Twitter by some other scoopers because I had reported first and somebody else did. And I asked for credit and they told me I should have a real website and do this for a living. Okay, whatever, bro. Anyway, and now you're scooping stuff that I already said. But I don't do this for a living. I do it for fun. I'm a comic book collector just like everybody else. And I'm just giving my fellow comic book collectors a heads up so they can get these books before we get outpriced. So the Hercules thing we dropped as something that was happening, and we saw concept art for it. The Marvel Insider saw concept art for it. The Mandarin thing we broke. The thing, one of the scoops, and I'll be straight up forward with it, that we got wrong was we knew that the Mandarin was coming, but we also took it one step further and we said Donnie Yen was going to be. It was up for the role. We didn't say he had the role, but he was He was up for the role. He was in talks with Marvel. And then it fell through. Tony Leung ended up getting the gig, not Donnie Yen, but we had reported it was Donnie Yen. But, you know, we walked it back because, you know what? We said he was in talks. Sometimes things don't happen. But I followed up the story by saying Donnie Yen was in talks, but Tony Leung beat him out because he's a better actor. Basically, Tony Leung is the equivalent of like a Brad Pitt in China. He's a very, very good actor. Whereas Donnie Yen is a great action star, but he doesn't quite have the acting chops as Tony Leung does, per se. But so we had reported that. We also... The first Black Knight report I went with was The Rock was in talks with Marvel, and we were hearing that it was going to be in Namor, because back then we had already scooped that Namor was going to be the protagonist in Black Panther 2, but we took it a step further and we said that The Rock was going to be the one that's going to be playing Namor. And we still stick to that because as of yesterday, I heard The Rock is still in talks with Marvel and Feige, and he wants to play Namor. So we'll see if that happens. There's been other casting news that they want the Rock to be an Asian character, Namor to be an Asian character. That's what we didn't report that because I heard that the Rock wants to be Namor. That's it. That's his thing. He wants to be that character, you know, and he's a big fan of that character. And so, and that's where, you know, as of yesterday, I talked to the Black Knight, asked him where he's at, and he said he's still in talks. He's still in negotiations with Marvel to hopefully become Namor, but he's coming. There's just no doubt.
So what was your initial thought when Mahershala Ali was announced to be Blade? Because at first when I heard it, I was like, what the heck? This dude, does he even know martial arts? Because that's the first thing that came to my mind because of the fact that, you know, Wesley Snipes put Blade on the map. He, you know, has the martial arts skills. I know Ali, he can act or whatever, but will he be able to fill that role?
I mean, let's put it this way. Okay, so Wesley Snipes a bit old. He's a bit long in the tooth. He's like 57, 58. Mahershala Ali, I believe, is in his early 40s.
Oh, he's my age, 46. Yeah.
So I mean, you know, Donnie Yen is 55, right? So
well,
I mean, you know,
like he's about 20.
Exactly. So it's just Hollywood actors.
It's that Asian look. That's why.
Yeah, I think Marvel goes for the acting chops first, right? If you look at the characters that they've picked, when Chadwick Boseman was picked to play Black Panther 2, nobody asked if he had any great fighting skills, right? You know, they said no. They went, he's a great actor. Mahershala Ali has 2 Oscars to his credit. Anytime you can say Oscar-winning actor, blah, 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 as Blade, boom, you did it. And as soon as I heard that Mahershala Ali is going to be Blade, I was like, hell yeah, because I got a Tomb of Dracula. You know what I'm saying?
So do I. Like, signed it at CGC.
Mine is signed, and I got a 9.0, and I was like, hell yeah, because we knew it was happening, but like I said, we thought it was going to be on Hulu, right? Because they're putting all their supernatural characters. But when I heard it was Mahershala Ali, I mean, that surprised everybody in Hall H. Nobody saw that one coming, and that's one of the awesome things about Hall H. You never know what's going to happen, right? And then when they saw him come up, they just at Blade, that blew it up because nobody thought that. They had a rough idea what was coming in Phase 4, but nobody saw Blade coming at all. So that was
and that
incredible.
book has definitely spiked up in price too. Tomb of Dracula #1. Of course, we know the first appearance of Blade, Tomb of Dracula #10. You don't see a lot of movement on the origin though. Do you think something like that's probably going to spike eventually?
What?
The Tomb of Dracula, the origin issue number, I think like 12 and 13.
Exactly. That's why if you don't know what issue number, nobody gives a fuck about it.
That's the problem with it. I mean, because you're probably
not a problem with it. It's like if you ask me what's the origin of Blade, I don't know and I don't care. Nobody's trying to buy the first origin. You know what I mean? Nobody's trying to buy that. People buy first appearances, first cover appearances, maybe a second appearance. Nobody gives a shit about an origin.
Well, and that leads us a lot into the monster comics. We're gonna, a lot of the big old monster comics are starting to come big into the price scene right now.
Yeah, and then Jeff Johnson, rumor has it that Snipes might play Dracula. Yeah, Jeff Johnson, we're the one that started that rumor. So on the Lord's channel, we actually said Wesley Snipes. Marvel wants to keep Wesley Snipes in the kind of Blade family, kind of like an homage or throwback to, hey man, look who we got here. And so they're offering Wesley Snipes the role of Dracula. Now, if Wesley Snipes doesn't take it or they don't work out the contract deals for whatever reason or not, you got to think Wesley Snipes is going to take it, right? He's got to pay his taxes. You know what I'm saying? But if he doesn't, they want Giancarlo Esposito to play Dracula. That would be cool too. He's a freaking great actor. That's Gus Fring from Breaking Bad.
Oh, excuse me about that. So what kind of news should we be looking at here in the future? I mean, you've talked plenty about the monster books that are coming up, the movies and TV shows. Is anything exciting as far as the news wise? Anything breaking that the Black Knight can share with us, or what?
Only if you'll be excited about it.
Do you not find me exciting anymore, TiVo?
No, you're actually boring. I don't know what happened to the old Marty. This is whack, yo.
The old Marty. What happened to the old Marty? The old Marty's still here, guys. You know, it's just.
I don't know. Ray, he sounds pretty whack, doesn't he?
I think it's the new.
I got a quick question though, Tim.
I think it's the new microphone because I'm listening to myself right here.
You don't sound that sexy. Trust me. You can just have fun with it.
I know you just discussed about how the price for Tomb of Dracula went up, but what really shocked me was the price of What If number 10 that's been going up.
Yeah, man. You know what? So my buddy, the Big To Do, he goes to Hall H every year. So he was texting me while he was at Hall H, and I was like, God damn it. Right. So his good friends is the marketer, the head of marketing for San Diego Comic-Con. So he gets into Hall H every year. So he tells me as soon as the news dropped about Jane Foster Thor, everybody in Hall H was on their phones, like buying What If 10. Right. That's amazing to me. And then, he remembers he was buying one off eBay, and he already did a buy it now. And then the guy sent him a message. Well, he goes, the movie news just dropped. And my Big To Do was like, and so you sold it to me, man. Hey, I'm a comic shop owner. I know how it goes. Right. So, what's interesting is I say this every single time. I don't care what you think or what you can prove the first appearance is or the first cameo is. It doesn't matter what you say, how many videos you do. It's what the market dictates. And right now, the comic book market dictates What If 10 is the book to have. The first appearance, or what if Jane Foster wielded the hammer of Thor and became Lady Thor, right? Even though Jason Aaron's run is also getting some hype, but people are still getting that book because you know why? The modern run of Thor with Miss Thor is a much higher print run. Hardcore collectors want that lower print one. They want that hard to find, that What If number 10 and a 9.8, right?
Which I got 3 of those. Not all 9.8s, but I got one that's a 9.2 I bought for $80 like a couple of weeks before that was even announced. And I also had 2 of the raw copies that I bought like way back then.
Yeah. Quick one for Jeff, who asked, does Black Knight do DC rumors? And here, this is breaking for your show. I'm going to get to some Star Wars stuff in a second. I just teased on Twitter because I just got this from the Black Knight who just sent me in the private message group. But so like a week or 2 ago, we talked about Berlanti doing some DC shows. And somebody reached, this is interesting, man. This is not even a Black Knight, but a DC insider source reached out to me and confirmed one of the stories that we reported on. And the story was that the Question, that kind of really vague DC hero that started in Blue Beetle #1. So Blue Beetle #1 is the book to get. That the Question I got. So this is the second confirmation that is actually coming, and it's going to be on HBO Go. That's the new Warner Brothers streaming service. So the Question is coming, and that's a rather obscure, very obscure book that I believe was a Blue Beetle before was a DC comic. So I got speculation on that. So obviously later on, a couple of like Copper Age and things like that. The Question was on DC. So it depends on where you think the first appearance is, but the first true appearance of the Question is in the Blue Beetle #1. And that's who made that comic? Is that like an Atlas comic or whoever? I forgot. We did a show about it. We did so much stuff. It's hard to remember all the time. And that's the most recent spec that I got double confirmation on that's happening is the Question is coming to HBO Go.
We got a question from Legit Nick. Have you heard anything about Jane won't even have cancer in Love and Thunder?
No.
It's
so early that we don't even know.
Yeah, we don't even know. And do you even think Love and Thunder is still going to be the legit name for that movie?
I don't think so. I had to reach out to my sources and find out, and they say so far it is. But I just think it's because during the Hall H panel, if you remember, they asked Taika Waititi, they go, so what is the concept around Love and Thunder? And then he just kind of danced around the question like, well, you have to have love and you have to have love thunder. And I was like, man, that sounds totally it's a made up name, and maybe they're going to use some other name.
Didn't they do that with the Avengers one time? They had
it was originally called Serpent Society. Yeah. And then remember, because it was Civil War, and they didn't want to give up the secret about Civil War. But Taika Waititi is a kind of funny cat like that. So who knows what he's doing? You know what I mean? He's always kind of out there out in left field, always doing some fun stuff. So it could be Love and Thunder, but that's it. HBO Go or HBO Max, JLS. Yeah, whatever the new DC streaming service is. Is it HBO Go or HBO Max? I think it's HBO Max. HBO Go is the current HBO streaming services, I believe. Whatever the new WB streaming service is going to be called, HBO Max, I believe. That's where the question's going. I can't even
keep track with all these streaming services now, like Netflix, Hulu. What's going to be on what? What is going to be the big platform that we're going to?
It's simple. You got Marvel's got the MCU. You got Hulu's going to have all the supernatural shows. Disney Plus is going to have the Feige produced shows that are MCU based right now. And those are miniseries, right? So we're talking about
that's simple, Tim. That's simple.
That's simple. Yeah,
I'm here trying to follow this, right? I'm trying to follow this with you right now, and you're spitting out all these streaming things, right? And
well, I mean,
really, man,
if you watch if you read all the articles and trades and things like that, and I guess I submerge myself in it 7 days a week. So when the news does drop, I can talk about it. And the Black Knight, to be honest with me, has taught me a lot about the industry and how it works. With the insiders of Hollywood and comic books and how the pecking order kind of happens. So when I do go on air, I won't sound like a total moron, just half a moron. You know what I'm saying? But so that way, when somebody says you're full of shit, and I go, well, please explain me which piece of shit am I part of? You know what I mean? Because I try to do as much homework. You ask Ryan, Otto, and Justin. I mean, it's just like when you used to be in a show. I send out show notes every week, and I research those show notes, and I make sure the guys research those show notes that we can give as much information on those. And do we get some of it wrong sometimes? Yeah. Do I talk too fast? Yeah. But for the most part, we try to give out the best information.
Talk fast and keep it entertaining, though.
Yeah, so here's a good rule of thumb, man. The Hulu stuff is going to be all the monster supernatural stuff, and Jeff Loeb has already talked about that. The Disney Plus stuff is going to be very expensive for streaming service type shows. So Winter Soldier, Falcon, WandaVision, What If? Well, not What If because that's animated, but all the live action stuff, supposedly War Machine and the Loki series that they already teased. Those have reported budgets of $100 million for a 4 to 6-ish episode series. So you're looking like a 6-hour movie that's going to be $100 million, roughly the same cost of the last season of Game of Thrones. Because let's be serious now. I mean, Marvel, Disney, they're printing money. Look at what Endgame did over, broke, 2.7 something, $2.8 billion. They can afford to. And, because no knock on the DC streaming service. Those are great little shows, but it's not like they're bringing these giant movie stars onto the small streaming service like they're going to do on the Disney streaming plus. Right? All these cats were Avengers at one point.
Yeah, now that you talk about the money, I just looked at Box Office Mojo, where the top 5 movies for 2019 are all from Disney.
Yeah, they're
making their money.
Yeah, they're killing it. So, you remember there was a stigma back in the day where, sorry, I'm fixing my light. That back in the day, doing a comic book movie, blah, 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 blah. Oh, no, now people are lining up. You got a 2-time Oscar winner, Colin Marvel, wanting to play Blade. Mm-hmm. Right? That's kind of the future of when you, I hate to use you an example, Marty, but I'm going to use you an example. So when you were active in the community, right, back in 2016, 2017, and obviously the landscape has changed now. You're just getting back and collecting. And I would say the landscape of what we call speculating has changed, right? It used to be you spec on movie blue chips, right? You spec on villain short term, right? So Red Skull, whomever, that's a short-term flip. People learn the lesson the hard way by specking on Flash villains, right? One and done, or even smaller heroes. People learn their lessons to a degree on FX or on Netflix. That Daredevil's still a hot book. Luke Cage, not so much. Jessica Jones, and Iron Fist is right in the middle of the road. But the whole landscape of speculation of comics has changed. Now Disney has Hulu Plus. Or excuse me, Disney Plus. They have Hulu. They're going to have FX because that's where the Netflix heroes are going. They got ABC proper. And now, finally, for the first time, they all truly are connected, meaning they can all cross-pollinate one another.
So in the chat, Tim, in John We Trust asked, what are your thoughts on Krypton getting canceled?
I think it's going to be brought back. From what I'm hearing, it's already being shopped around, that and Lobo. If they find a new home, I don't know, but it makes sense. Why have your intellectual property owned and run on a separate channel or maybe part of your banner? Why not brand it as, because Disney sat back and they saw what Disney did at Hall H and they were blown away. I think both green with envy and pissed off that they were able to do this while they weren't there. So why Disney said, we got this giant umbrella, we just put it all over all the FX stuff, all the Sony, some of the Sony stuff with Spider-Man, they're sharing them, but all the stuff that they can do now under these multiple platforms. Because you remember when they bought the Fox acquisition, they did the Fox acquisition. It wasn't just buying Fox and all the movie libraries and XMen and Fantastic Four. It was getting majority ownership stakes in Hulu and getting the FX channel. The FX channel is huge for them to allow a whole set of platforms to go on. And what I'm hearing is, and it's not going to happen tomorrow. It's not going to happen maybe even this year, but eventually. And when I say eventually, it's because it's the Netflix heroes. Their contract says stipulate that 2 years after they premiere on, or 2 years after the last episode that was on Netflix, then Marvel can develop them. So we're hearing that once they are free of that contractual, I guess, obligation they had with Netflix, that they're going to bring the Netflix street level heroes onto FX, because that FX platform is like a hard R, right? If you think about Netflix, it was pretty violent. There was some crazy sex going on with Luke Cage and Jessica Jones, right? And FX gets away with all that, right? And then some. I mean, they drop more F-bombs on FX than they ever did on Disney or on Netflix, at least for the Marvel stuff.
Yeah, I know we mentioned it in our little private group chat or whatever, but I know you had mentioned something about Quicksilver. So you think with, the Hulk doing the snap or whatever, and with the multiverse with Doctor Strange or whatever, that they'll bring back the Avengers version or the Fox version of Quicksilver?
That's a good question. So one of the scoops that I've gotten from the Black Knight was that it's going to start in WandaVision and then come to fruition in Doctor Strange to into the multiverse of madness, nightmares, that somehow, some way, Wanda Scarlet Witch is going to somehow open up one of the multiverses, is going to bring back Quicksilver, another version of Quicksilver. So not her dead brother in the 616, but another version of Quicksilver, not knowing if it's going to be the cat from the Fox series or the Jesse Taylor Johnson, whatever his name is. Yeah. So not quite sure, but being that Feige liked them enough to put him in Age of Ultron, maybe so. But that Fox Quicksilver version, a lot of people liked them. Like
I did too. I liked it.
Yeah, a lot of people say now they're their favorite X-Men. Who would have thunk that Quicksilver would be your favorite X-Men?
Well, the way they did him in the movies, like his speed showing he was going so kind of like the Flash in the TV show. He's running so fast that everybody's standing still. Where the one in the MCU, he was just like I don't know.
He was really No, I see what. I've definitely the Quicksilver and the X-Men movies, they fleshed out his power set a little bit more. Where the version in Marvel was kind of, he's really, really fast, but not to the point where slowing down, like you said, like the Flash in the Justice League movie, or really he's moving faster than time is, but not necessarily the speed force. Hold on. So my Black Knight is just telling me, nope, it is not going to be the Fox version of Quicksilver. And if they do use him, it would be the MCU version that you see on screen. Now,
what are we looking at as far as future X-Men, Tim? We see any talk, any chatter on that? I mean, just based
I think that anybody who tells you what they know anything about an X-Men movie is probably not being that truthful. Mm-hmm. We talked about it, I think 2 months ago, I think on the Black Knight report, that eventually there will be an Avengers versus X-Men in the MCU prior to Secret Wars. It's Avengers versus X-Men is not going to be this giant end game level event. It'll be just one of the movies that may tie over into two movies, right? One may be called Avengers versus X-Men, and then the second part may be called X-Men versus Avengers, but it's just going to be part of phase 5 and 6 that leads up into Secret Wars when they all fight each other. Right. But so far, the only thing I know or heard about that they're moving the quickest on is Deadpool, and Deadpool will have a cameo in the Black Widow. He's going to be at the end credit scene is what I'm hearing. And it's such specific, so random, the rumor that it's kind of be like they said he's going to meet Taskmaster in a bar in one of the cameo scenes of Black Widow, which to me seems kind of interesting. Like that's very specific, right? That tells me that it's Deadpool making fun of the Tony Stark end credit scene with Thunderbolt Ross, right?
Now, JLS Comics wants to know, is it New Mutants movie to Hulu? Anything as far as that goes?
From what I'm hearing, it's a totally different. Yeah, from what I'm hearing, it's a totally different iteration of New Mutants. It has nothing to do with the movie at all, and Marvel's doing their own version of New Mutants. So I don't know if the New Mutants movie will see the day of life. It does. The version that's coming on the streaming platform is going to be Marvel's own version, not anything to do with the Fox version. Because remember, the Fox version was supposed to be this really kind of R-rated horror take on the New Mutants, and who knows, maybe so on the Hulu side, since the Hulu side is going to be doing a lot of the supernatural stuff, but thinking that they're mutants and they're tied to, pretty much you got cats that cross over from New Mutants and to the X-Men that I'm thinking them, they want to keep it for either the Disney Plus side or maybe the MCU side. But before we get any further, I just want to drop this. This is something I just found out right now. This is a exclusive Black Knight report from Lords of Longbox onto the Comic Book Fanatics. For all you Star Wars fans out there, I wonder if the Black Knight, because the Black Knight is actually lurking in your live chat. You just don't know it because he hasn't said anything yet. So you probably saw all the Star Wars statues that you have on your wall. But what I just heard, and this is, we actually talked about this, the Black Knight and I, a couple of months ago. He said, I can't really say anything right now, but I'm going to drop it now. I don't know if we get in trouble, but Mara Jade is in development at Disney Plus. If you don't know who Mara Jade is, I'll let Ray and Marty talk about it. Mara Jade is basically from the extended universe of the Marvel Comics, and they're getting a show on Disney Plus because Disney Plus is doing that big Star Wars thing, so that's something to get excited about.
You're talking about getting excited now, man. We're talking about excitement right now with me, okay?
Hi,
I'm Marty with Comic Talk Guy. We are live here with the Comic Talk Guy. Let's talk about a little bit of Marvel.
Now the medication's kicked in. Okay.
But, I'm telling you, Disney with, oh, my God, man. Star Wars, when it comes to Star Wars, Black Knight, thank you very much for that information, man. I'm telling you right now, shit like that makes me hard, man. But definitely looking forward to any type of Star Wars related stuff. Oh my God. And just the Mandalorian coming up and everything like that. It's everybody is talking about D23 for all the Marvel stuff. I'm kind of excited for the Star Wars stuff because they didn't really nothing was talked about the Star Wars stuff at San Diego Comic-Con, but this is all Disney all day long right here, man. I mean, Star Wars Celebration to D23, you can spend a lot more time talking about, and I expect a full trailer for The Mandalorian by the time that comes on. And, I can't wait, man. Basically, what I've seen so far with The Mandalorian, man, it looks amazing. Just absolutely amazing. I love how they're going with the I want to say extended universe because we've already seen a lot of the extended universe and a lot of the Star Wars Legends as opposed to canon, but now they're almost bringing in Star Wars Legends with canon now when it comes to Star Wars. So it's with all the new movies coming out, even the Clone Wars, coming up with Clone Wars with all the new introductions and bringing because last time Clone Wars ended, we didn't really get to see very, very much of an ending, right? It just kind of cut off from there and it just showed a little bit about.
No, did you watch the last season?
No, I did not watch last season.
The last season came out like 6 months ago.
You talking about Rebels or the Clone Wars scene?
Clone Wars.
Yeah.
So remember they said they're finally going to finish off the storyline.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm trying to remember if it came out, but No, Rebels was awesome too. I'm also finding out they'll be incorporating more Star Wars EU into Disney Plus. So
now, does he anything as far as the Old Republic goes? Because that's a hell of a story if we can incorporate some Old Republic information there.
I don't know. I mean, here's what people. Star Wars is incredibly tight-lipped. It's hard to get any scoops from Star Wars simply because if you think about Marvel and Disney is a huge kind of production company, right? Think about all the movies, all the shows going on, and people could talk. But Star Wars, man, it's by a really smaller group of people. So if something does leak, probably look at each other and they'll be like, was it you? No, was it you? You know what I mean? It's like 3 or 4 cats that you can put the blame on. Whereas Marvel is, DC, just like those kind of things. It's a lot more interesting things. And a lot of times, they'll just break stuff just to see how fan reaction is, to see what people are thinking about it. But I think for a long, long time, we as Star Wars fans have always been clamoring for an extended universe. And to be honest with you, where could have gone before? There was nowhere to put it. The movies kind of took precedent where they were putting things. So, now Disney Plus, it's like, we got you, baby. They're promoting Star Wars Land at Disneyland, Disney World, Now,
you just went to Galaxy's Edge, didn't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, and how it's just amazing. I mean, that's
totally
the Mecca.
Different. Yeah, there's
that's
a lot of
Mecca for a lot of Star Wars fans.
There's a lot of criticisms of it, and and first of all, Disneyland has been really dead this summer, and partially I think is because a lot of people thought the lines would just be crazy, so they just said, "I'm going to wait to go." So when we went, it was dead. But so dead now that they're cutting back hours on folks at Star Wars Land because there's not a lot of people there. But I think a lot of people are scared. And here's the thing: is it's not the Star Wars Legacy characters at the edge of Galaxy's Edge. It's the new Star Wars. So you'll see a lot of Kylo Ren, a lot of Rey, a lot of stuff like that. But if you go back to Star Wars and like where they have what is that? Space Tours or Space Mountain is still Star Wars.
Yeah.
That's where you see the Legacy characters and merchandising. So at Star Wars Land, you actually don't see much like Yoda dolls or Han Solo or anything like that. But if you go to Star Wars in Star Wars or Disneyland proper, where they have a whole section where they have all the Star Wars stuff. Yeah, so that's where you see like Darth Vader and you'll see C-3PO and stuff like that. What's cool is I'm going to post a picture today is Marvel Land is coming to Disneyland. That's going to be cool. Because right now on California Adventure, they have a small little area where you can take pictures of some of the, and they turn something called the Tower of Terror into Guardians of the Galaxy.
Really?
But also, you know how they call them cast characters, whatever, they dress up typically Mickey Mouse, Dumbo, or not Dumbo, excuse me, that would be weird, but Goofy, Mickey, Minnie, all those guys. At the California Adventure side, they have cats dressed up like Captain America. I seen Starler one time. There's a giant Groot that walks around. So now where Bugs Land is at Disneyland, they're putting a Marvel Land there. That's going to be dope. I would definitely be going to that.
That's different in Florida. In Florida, if you want to see a lot of superhero characters, you'll go to MGM, Hollywood, MGM. As if you want to see a lot of the Star Wars character, you'll go to Disney. They have a lot of the newer characters and a lot of the older characters and everything, but it's totally different, But to be able to combine a lot of stuff, Galaxy Edge is definitely on my top 10 list to eventually go to. But I'm looking forward to it. I was really excited to watch some of your videos on that. It looked. Were you able to go on the Millennium Falcon and actually do the virtual ride with that, with all four characters?
Yeah, it's not. Yeah, it's more like a what do they call it? Like the simulator, or I don't know, virtual simulator where you're like sitting and it has the things. Yeah, I went there, but so we got single rider passes and it was whack because I had to sit with another family and they decided to make their 9-year-old son the pilot and he sucked. We were catching everything. That's all I got to say, man. You should have let me pilot that. I would have been doing the Kessel Run in 11 parsecs. You know what I'm saying?
11 parsecs.
Hell yeah, this little kid had us banging into everything, man. This was whack because I was like, man. So I was basically an engineer. So basically, you just push this button that flashes, and then like the toy girl in front of me was a gunner, and she couldn't hit shit either. And I was like, man, this is whack. So I heard like the better you do on the ride, the longer the ride lasts.
Really?
Yeah, that's what I was heard. But if you're a Star Wars fan, it's absolutely cool. Like going into it because it looks like you're walking into the Millennium Falcon. You know how the white kind of padding is and everything.
Yeah, sure.
Regardless of what you think about the place, Star Wars Land itself is incredibly well done. Like all the set pieces and everything, very well done. It looks like you're walking onto a movie set or something. It's very well done.
So Tim, I know y'all are talking about your Star Wars stuff, but I know that the Blade versus Wolverine that came out. Did you get that? And if you did, was you disappointed with the book?
No, I haven't got to that. And simply, I meant. Right now, there's just kind of oversaturation with Wolverine. But what I am getting down with is like House of X, Powers of 10. I'm really down with the Agents of Atlas. Got my Asian brothers and sisters in there fucking shit up, or fighting the evils that be. So I'm really down with that right now. And the Absolute Carnage is pretty dope too. The Absolute Carnage.
I mean, I bought the book because I'm a Blade fan or whatever. But I was very.
Well, that just goes to show you're gonna get a lot
in it.
Yeah,
the artwork was on point, but the storyline it just was garbage.
I would imagine in the next year or two, you're going to get a ton more Blade stories. You may get a Blade reboot, re-origin telling, a lot of what they did with what Donny Cates did with Venom. Now, if you remember, this is something that you can actually Google. The iteration of Blade, like a year ago or 2 years ago, that was coming to the big screen. They were going to go with Blade's daughter, right?
Yes, that was. She was supposed to be based out of like Oregon. It was a comic that's supposed to be coming out. He like went down there and met her or whatever. But
Ray knows his Blade stuff. Exactly.
Yeah,
Ray knows
this
is one of those. Yeah, this is one of those things where if you go look for the first issue, there is no such thing. It never came out. So back at San Diego Comic-Con, I think I want to say 2018 or 2017, in a panel, they said that they're going to come out with a comic book about Blade's daughter. And then eventually a movie was going to come out. That the comic for some reason never happened. Obviously, we know what happened to the movie, but man, I would be interesting if that first appearance ever came out. I guarantee that book will blow up, guaranteed.
Oh, yeah.
People already think that it's going to be Blade and Blade's daughter, but it's going to blow up because like you said, the Blade character is pretty old, and the Blade movies themselves, seen back in the lens, Blade 3 was kind of goofy. My favorite Blade movie is Blade 2, actually, with Donnie Yen and the vampire team. I thought that was the best one.
The first one, when at the beginning when he's in that little
underground rave,
and they were like
Tracy Lord comes out,
and that smile comes on his face when he walks toward him. Oh, that was epic right there.
Here's another Black Knight exclusive for you from Lords of the Long Box. They're developing a Knights of the Old Republic. They're developing 2 Knights of the Old Republic trilogies, and we're going to mention that on the Lord's show next month when we get more details on it.
Yes. Black Knight, you are the man, brother. You are the man. I tell you what, I'm going to go.
So originally there was some rumor that I believe it was the cats that did Game of Thrones are going to be doing some shows about Knights, and I believe there's going to be 2 of them. So I think, with the popularity of Game of Thrones, Star Wars, this is the perfect mix.
The last episode.
Yeah, and a lot of people who don't know Knights of the Old Republic, you're going back centuries and centuries back to a lot of the Jedi and the dark side, the Sith Lords and everything like that, where you see a lot of fighting action. It's basically a lot of fight between the Jedi and the dark side. So you're talking about a lot of saber fights. It's going to be amazing if they do something like that, where you don't talk, as far as the newer version, I guess episodes 1, 2, 3, you get into a lot of political aspects of that. Whereas the Old Republic, they don't really focus a lot on a lot of the political information or the eras and everything like that. They do a lot of fighting, and that's what I want to see. I want to see a lot of saber fights.
Yeah, and it's perfect for a TV show as opposed to a trilogy of movies or something, putting it on, a long streaming service and then perhaps making movies on it. I mean, there's still so much Star Wars stuff that they can do that they didn't really have a platform before. So now they can get buck wild with it, right? Because now when you got a streaming service, you could really, and they're going to kill it. That's not bullshit to anybody. We're all going to subscribe to it. You know what I mean? Everybody's going to subscribe to it. It's just going to get more money.
Yeah.
And it's just, they got the funds now. I mean, people keep on thinking like it's Disney versus Warner Brothers, right? If I may, I'm going to talk about this. Was recently one of the dumbest people on YouTube that I know, Grace Randolph, came out with a video that said that the Mortal Kombat movie could possibly beat Shang-Chi at the Chinese box office. And that's so dumb. I felt dumber after hearing her say that on YouTube, that, that would happen. First of all, I meant, Feige don't mess around. And she even said an R-rated Mortal Kombat movie would outdo Shang-Chi at the Chinese box office.
Fucking crack?
Yeah. I mean, if you put an R-rated film, it'll be hard to get past the Chinese censors to begin with. So it'll be hard. I mean, she's just basing this off of all the stuff that's going on in Hong Kong right now. There's if you haven't been paying attention, there's Hong Kong wants to separate themselves from the Chinese mainland, right? And if you don't know, in 1997 or so, the British relinquished control of Hong Kong, gave it back to mainland China, basically made it a communist part of China. But where prior to there, if you remember the Hong Kong movies of the 90s, right, they had category 3, basically softcore porn movies. They don't make those anymore, right? The movie industry was totally buck wild. You could talk about the government, you could talk about everything. But now Chinese film industry is somewhat viewed through a nationalistic lens if you watch it, right? It's very pro-government, right? There's not as many triad movies as there used to be, but in the heyday of the Hong Kong cinema in the 80s and 90s, man, it was crazy. Remember John Woo movies and it's still violent, but you rarely ever see nudity in a Chinese movie nowadays. But in the 80s and 90s, just do yourself a favor and Google Hong Kong category 3. Those were the adult films of China, of Hong Kong.
So Tim, is there any rumor that I've been hearing about, Warner Brothers is possibly tired of DC Comics?
Not Warner Brothers, but I got to be very careful how they say this too.
Gotcha.
Warner Brothers is not tired of DC Comics, but AT&T is. and I'll leave it at that. That AT&T doesn't see DC Comics as a very profitable division of their business, right? And when because obviously comic books themselves are very profitable, where Marvel thinks of their comics as ways to launch their intellectual property into other platforms. AT&T doesn't see that, and they don't see that right now because what intellectual properties have they created lately that have gone on? They've got Aquaman, they got Batman, they got Wonder Woman, they got Superman. These characters have been around since the 30s and 40s. It's not like they're thinking, is Naomi coming to the big screen soon? No. So that's why they don't think the comics are doing it. And lately, unfortunately, you've seen that in some of the sales and the cutback of some of the titles that DC is doing right now. So Warner Brothers, I think, realizes the historical value of DC Comics. AT&T, at least the suits at the very high levels who see just, the bottom line, don't see it that way, And here's my thing. Even if they were to sell it, not saying they were, but just in case they were, that AT&T would want to keep the movie rights and just sell the comic book side of it. But then who would want to buy it at that point, right? Marvel probably laid the biggest egg of all when everybody learned their lessons. When Marvel licensed out all their heroes, right? Avi Arad, and remember, you had Fox, had X-Men, you had Sony with Spider-Man, all this, that, and the other, right? And then Marvel was about to file for bankruptcy, and they were selling off all these intellectual properties. And so now when they had movies, what were they making? They were making Iron Man. They weren't making Spider-Man. They were making Iron Man because that's the only thing they had left. So that, if you think about it now, now that they rebooted, they righted the ship and everything went right. Now they can have all their characters back. They have the money. Disney was also, a big giant financial backer. Well, if A&T is not as, not seeing it as optimistically as Disney does with their properties, put it that way. Plus, if you think about, and this is what I've always contended, that Disney proper has a princess problem, right? No little boys want to go to Disneyland. Girls want to go to Disneyland because it's the whole princess thing, right? Yeah. So what does Star Wars have to do? We want to be able to hook in young boys. So what do we do? Well, let's get Star Wars and let's get Marvel. Problem solved. Right now we had Spider-Man next to, Princess. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I don't. What?
Where'd that come from? Do you think the characters like, Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, they're just so played out at this point in time, or is just maybe DC is not coming up with good content, or the filming?
Well, I think with Wonder Woman and Aquaman, they finally knew the thing. They finally realized they've beaten the Batman to death already, right? And there's going to be another iteration of them. They don't know what to do with Superman. They have Superman problem, like where that's what I've heard. They literally don't know what to do with Superman. So Superman's putting on the back shelf, and they're going to go with Supergirl first.
Supergirl, right? Or Power Girl.
Cavill may never come back. Cavill may never come back as Superman, but they're not gonna be doing any combined universe anytime soon. They learned their lesson after Justice League. If they do it right, it'd be a bunch of solo films and then maybe leading into something. But right now, it's already, you got Wonder Woman and Aquaman are really the only two movies that even reference each other. Joker, the new Joker film that takes place in the 80s, is not going to reference anything. It's going to be standalone by itself.
Film, yeah.
The Birds of Prey supposedly is going to have a third different version of the Joker than you would think the normal proper MCU would be. So,
Titans doing pretty good though from first season. I'm really looking forward to the second season of Titans.
Yeah, but even that's tied into nothing at all. It's tied
into
itself.
No, it's not. It's within itself at all. Yeah,
and there's nothing wrong with that. Everything doesn't need to be connected. I think people are trying to force a square peg into a round circle, whatever, by forcing DC to do it.
The problem is DC tried to rush because Marvel was making all that money. Marvel already had a 10-year head start, so if they would have took their time, maybe they put out Man of Steel. Don't come out with Batman versus Superman like right after that because you're trying to catch Marvel. Take your time, like 2 or 3 years down.
I think they started too late, man. I think honestly they started too late. They pushed all these characters.
Actually, they did
too soon, if you will.
Batman's the Christopher Nolan trilogy.
Yeah, but that was also standalone, though.
Yeah, it didn't reference anything. I think we all. This conversation.
They're seeing that the second movie made over. Granted, because Heath Ledger died, it made money.
No, they all made money, but Nolan specifically wanted them to be separate from anything else. He didn't want them to cross. He wanted his own sandbox to play in, right? I mean, they didn't go out with the vision of creating, hey, let's create Batman and then create these separate movies. It was when they did Batman versus Superman, where they kind of shoehorned this in, and then they brought in Wonder Woman, and then they brought in the death of Superman, where, you know, and I think we've been talking about this for the last 2 years, and I think, you know, we could finally put it to bed that, you know, the solo film should have came out first, and then after, you know, each hero had their own solo film, come out and do a Justice League movie, but they didn't, and they learned their lessons. Now
they saw the Avengers make all that money, and they wanted to have part of it.
Yeah, but here's what people don't get is that Kevin Feige is an incredibly patient person.
Yeah.
It took 10 years for this plan to come to fruition, and there was bumps, there was some misfires, and there was some home runs. He had to be creative with Sony to get, you know, Spider-Man into the films. I mean, this took a long time. I mean, you know, 4, 5, and 6, I'm hearing ain't going to take a whole 10 years though, because now they have multiple platforms to tell other stories on. So they don't, so part of the first 3 phases, the MCU, everything had to be on the big screen, right? But they don't have to do that now for phases 4, 5, and 6.
Mm-hmm.
Now they can tell little side stories, whereas in the past, what we have to have an Ant-Man movie. Me, I love watching Ant-Man. Cracks me up every time I see it. Have Luis narrate every MCU movie for as far as I care. I think it's a hilarious movie, and not everything needs to be giant, right? Like Ant-Man was a nice little break where you're like, this is fun, you know what I mean? But in the future,
now we're seeing they're shooting all these other platforms as part of the continuity now, right? And so it's all going to tie into, I guess, cinematic universe.
Correct. They are all, everything is truly connected now. I mean, if you remember on ABC, when it said Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and the tagline was everything is connected. Remember? Mark Gregg used to say that, and he was really the only thing that connected it, right? I mean, Lady Sif made an appearance, Nick Fury made an appearance on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., but outside of that, it wasn't really connected at all. But now it's definitely going to be connected. And one of my favorite characters is going to be, you know, crossing over from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Our Hopper girl, Daisy Johnson, aka Quake. Chloe Bennett is going to be in Agents of S.W.O.R.D.
Nice.
Hopper power, baby. It's all about the half Asians out there. You know.
Yeah, I guess so. Hey guys, listen, we've gone about a minute, 2 minutes past an hour right now, and I'm just going to go ahead and close it out. First of all, I just want to thank TiVo for really gracing us with your presence, dropping some knowledge on us, especially with the Black Knight information, some exclusive.
I'm at 700 subs today.
Congratulations, TiVo! And
if Amazing Murphnators out there watching, I'm gonna pass him up soon for talking that shit. Murph was like saying, "Man, I still got more subs than TiVo. I'm about to get to Murph. I'm next."
There's a lot of the old YouTube guys that I remember from back in 2014, 2015, Amazing Murphinator, Big East Comics, guys like that. But there's also like a lot of the newer guys, like what you introduced me to, like guys like Comic Tom, guys like Reggie Collects Comics, and what else is there that are some good contents that you watch yourself, TiVo?
Lords of the Long Box, probably the best show ever. I always like them. I always like to fuck with the NY Warriors. I call them the sister channel. You know what I mean? I always go on there and support them whenever I can.
Right.
The Comic Core seems to have like 3 shows a day for 7 days a week. You know, some of their shows. John with Comics is real good. The Boy with Comics, and John with Comics just had a really interesting show, and I hope it really blows up for them. They're doing this kind of game live on YouTube. So basically what it is they'll get 2 guys competing against each other on the live stream, and in the live chat, people will throw categories at him, and the first guy to go grab that book and then show it, and then they pick the winner. So on their test stream that they did, I said, like, show a Michael Turner cover. They had 30 seconds to go grab a Michael Turner variant. Well, I was pretty specific. I said, show a Michael Turner non-variant cover. So a regular Michael Turner cover, but they had 30 seconds, go grab it out of their boxes and show Michael Turner cover. Another one was a floating head they had to show. Another one was a cover where it features just the characters in outer space. So that's stuff that I dig. There's so many channels out there now. Gentleman Collectibles, Comic Time 101. Matt, actually, I think tonight I'm going to be in Comic Con 101. First ever interview on Comic Con 101. I'm going to drop some news on there. It was pre-recorded. It's not live, so it's going to be like a little 10-minute segment, which I think which is the way to go. Live shows are great. We do it because I speak live better than I read stuff. To be honest with you. I'm dyslexic. I don't know. Well, a lot of times you could chop up content and you can make like little 5-10 minute information videos. And JLS Comics is great at that. If you're not subbed up to JLS, check him out. He does great content where he does like little 5-10 minute videos about the history of a character. Like
JLS has come a long way from the beginning.
And he does it very timely too. Like if news about Shang-Chi will drop, he'll say, "Here's the history of Shang-Chi in 5 minutes." You know what I mean? Stuff like that. And nowadays, it's all about the graphics and production values and being able to put it on wax and rock the mic. You know what I mean? I mean, it's
absolutely.
Like, don't sit in the dark and talk into a can in a string, because that was YouTube 2016. It's like you got things like StreamYard now. Webcams are cheap, mics are cheap now. People can rock it. I'm not talking about you, Ray, because you're busy working out. You're gonna have to call you Wolverine pretty soon.
I think his guns are bigger than mine now, man.
You follow my man Wolverine on Instagram, Ray?
What's that?
You follow my man Wolverine on Instagram?
Nah,
he does a lot of the weightlifting competition. So
he's gotten big since I remember him from a few years ago too, man. Hey, guys like Big Cat Lion 646, thanks for joining us. King of the Golden State, Comic Book Brothers, Mr. Unknown Comic Guy, Comic Book Brother, thanks for joining us. A lot of
see what happens when you promote a live stream, Marty, as opposed to your last live stream that had 2 people in it.
Right. I guess it's a big difference.
What I'm saying is there's so many YouTube channels.
It's changed a lot. It's definitely changed a lot.
You have to promote it. You got to
promote it. Yeah.
Back in the day when there was like 100 of us, you can go live and just expect people to pop in.
Well, the comic book community back when we were coming up like 2014, 15, very small community anyways, but guys like Comic Talk, guys like Reggie Collects Comics. I mean, those guys get hundreds of views and thousands of subscribers and everything like that. So it's a matter of promoting it. It's a whole different realm now. I noticed that, so it's good. But Legit Comics, thank you. Stay Puff, thank you for joining us tonight, man. And of course, our special guest tonight, Lord TVO, Lords of the Round Table, Lords of the Long Box. Thanks for coming up, man. I really appreciate it. Like I said, I'm all about the community. I'm all about trying to get the community together, just showing people's faces, trying to get people back up where they need to be, trying to get people, subscribe to other people, man. But, I think that's a little bit out of date, man. I think I'm out of date with a lot of things as well. I think I need to kind of get, abreasted as far as getting into the whole new YouTube live streaming and videos. No one really does haul videos anymore, like you were telling me. Yeah. But it's just one of those things, man. I guess I just got to get back with the time, man.
Well, here's the thing. I mean, things have changed. People still do haul videos. I mean, there's still cats out there to get tons of views, but I mean,
sure.
If you're showing the same thing that everybody else is showing, then why would somebody watch? You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And if you are, you need to present it in a way that's palatable, meaning it's more edible for consumption right? If you're going to put one cat against another who's showing the same books, if one guy has better production values and is better on the mic and is more personable, then you're going to watch him as opposed to somebody who's just kind of going through the motions of doing, you know what I mean?
Right.
If it's a chore and you could tell it's a chore when they're doing it, then why would you watch, right? If this guy doesn't like doing what he's doing, then why should I want to watch what he's doing? You know what I'm saying?
Right. And if you guys used to watch Comic Book Fanatics back in the days, a few years ago, especially Comic Talk, and there's a lot of videos that we used to that's still on the playlist and everything. We used to bring a lot of the community together, man, and you probably would have seen a different Marty than you see tonight. So as
well, you can't have 10 people on your show anymore either.
Well, I can't have 10 people on my show. I can only have the max of 6 with this type of flat.
Yeah, because Google Hangouts is gone altogether. So and that's why
But it was fun though. The thing about it was getting people together, and it was really a fun environment. It was just like hanging out with a bunch of guys that share the same thing, like-minded.
Well, yeah, I mean that's like until you put assholes on. It was until you put assholes on there is when the drama started.
Assholes? We never had assholes on there. What are you talking about? The only asshole we had on there was you, man. What are you talking about, man?
At least I claim my assholeness. The other people didn't. It was like, man, Then they had a crush on you, and then it was really weird.
Don't go there, Tim. Tim, do not go there. All right.
What'd you say, Ray?
Swole Wolverine Comics. That's your homeboy, Bobby.
Yeah, Bobby. Yeah.
Okay.
Hit him up, man. But he's got sponsorships, man. He can tell you. He can tell you how to do this. Instagram
of sponsorship. Ray was actually hit it for sponsorship for working out recently, man. I don't know if I was allowed to put that out or not, Ray, but
yeah.
Talk to my man Wolverine Ray, and he'll tell you how to get those sponsorships, the free like supplements and stuff like that. You just gotta just post a lot of stuff on Instagram, and you get a lot more followers, and that's how they want to promote you when you got a lot of eyes on you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Okay, he gets all those supplements and stuff for free because he's doing it professionally and all this other stuff.
Ray's about the supplements, anyways, man. And your boy Wolverine, too. I remember like looking at a lot of his Instagram photos. Hey, don't forget, man. We also have Comic Book Fanatics still has a Facebook platform, Comic Book Fanatics, man. So check us out on that as well. We also have an Instagram. Ray has his own Instagram. I have my own Instagram as well. Comic Book Fanatics, Marty and Ray. What was yours again, Ray?
Team_Franklin_fitness.
Okay. And Tim, you have yours as TVO, Lords of the Long Box.
If you I brand name everything. So if you just Google Lords of the Long Box, it'll take you all my stuffs.
Yeah, guys,
subscribe the new channel, man. If you see my name in the live chat, sub up. This is the new channel. All my old, the thing about it also is I lost all my old subscriptions. So it's like, man, who was I subscribed to? This and the other. It's kind of
and you had some great videos back in that time too, because you always start your video out with mixes and everything. And so a lot of
that's what got me into trouble, man. I was like, I'm scared to post a mixed video now.
You had some good mixes, man. I remember tuning into your videos, and I'd just sit there and just kind of rock a little bit for it before you actually went into your talking. And I was just like,
skittish about it now, man. I'm really.
It's like the old stuff I used to listen to. So whenever he start off his videos playing some of that old school stuff, I was like, oh yeah. Now
I just did a whole video yesterday, and I played like just like 15 seconds worth of like a mix, and I was like, I'm gonna shut it off before I trigger some algorithm about music or something, man, because they're trying to cut
out 15 seconds. Anything more than that, you're probably promoting, right?
Yeah, so I was just like, Comic Krypton Cancelled Hills. He was talking about how like a couple years ago his channel got shut down, and he was just showing a comic book that had boobs on it, and he got his channel shut down because
shit.
Yeah, Comic Krypton Cancelled Hills. So, but he's back up to like 800 subs now. But that was like
that means I can do videos with my shirt off working out then, huh?
Let's get let's get him on the show sometime. Promote his.
He's back now. He's good. He's got like 800, 900 subs. But back in the day, it just happened like 2 years ago. So you got to think you got to restart everything. I mean, I have a lot of my videos. The Lord's podcast happened about a year ago. So, when people ask me, I'm full of shit. Do I have any receipts? Yes, I do. They're on podcasts. So, we've been having the Black Knight Report on podcast. It's still on SoundCloud, iTunes, and Stitcher. Just search Lords of Long Box. And, I try to put as many podcasts as I can up there. But, I can probably do Comic Haul videos like every day since nobody has seen my collection since all the videos are taken down.
Yeah, you need to review your collection again. You just start from the beginning like it. All right, guys. Hey, listen, gone on a little bit more than an hour what I was hoping for. I mentioned 45 minutes to an hour, but, like I said, we have a tendency to kind of like overtalk. We get a little long-winded. But thank you so much for joining us, guys. Guys out there, Marky316 just joined us right now. Hey, Mark, you're going to have to watch this on the rewind.
Always late. Chucklehead. Marky's always late.
Thumbs up, CV up. No, Comic Fanatics aren't necessarily back. We've been around. It's just that we haven't really been doing live shows and haven't been doing videos as much as that we used to. Like I was mentioning, and I was talking to Tim earlier, like YouTube has definitely changed. It's totally different from the way it used to be. The content, the graphics and everything like that. It's wow. I've really got to catch up. And the way life goes sometimes, with work and everything like that, it's just a matter of finding time to do that. But anyways, enough of that rambling. Ray, final thoughts and shout outs real quick, man.
I want to thank TVO for gracing us with his presence. It's always the delight, to listen to him spit out all the knowledge and all that good stuff, and then to make it enjoyable. I think when you said something about Mara Jade, it made Marty wake up. So
it takes me a few beers and a little bit of good information to get me to lighten up, brother. You know.
Everybody in the chat room, thank you for stopping by. Like I said, hit, if you haven't subbed to TiVo's channel, go ahead and sub to it so he can get back his 1,000 subscribers. Because I think the plan is, he said if you don't get 1,000 by the end of the month, he was gonna quit, which I know he ain't.
Yeah, I got 12 days, man. 12 days, 13 days.
You're good, brother. You're definitely good. It doesn't matter if you get 1,000 subscribers or 100 subscribers. The content you put out, anyways, and plus the source that you have, a lot of people are going to watch that, anyways. So that's a lot of good information. They may not subscribe to you, but guess what? They're going to view you.
Yeah, and then I finally got Instagram. My daughter taught me into it, so like I said, I'll put it in the chat. So just hit me up.
Are you public or private?
I'm public.
All right, about time. I was like, dang, man.
All
Well,
right.
Anybody who I don't follow private accounts. I just feel you guys are shady. So,
Right.
make your account public. If you want to show off your collection, you got to be public, man. So,
it's public and everything. So hit me up on there. And don't forget to hit up our Facebook channel, Comic Book Fanatics. And I hope everybody has a great and wonderful, Sunday night?
Sunday night, 18th. Hey, once again, Tim, thank you so much for joining us once again. If you guys don't know, this is Jameson in the back. He's just kind of chilling out right here.
Oh, one more thing. I'm going to be on the Comic Fiend podcast tomorrow. So,
are you still going live on your channel on Wednesday, Tim?
Well, yeah, because you didn't properly say goodbye before you're about to cut me off and introduce your dog.
Well, yeah, I mean, shit, I haven't even finished yet, man. Give me a
okay, go ahead, man.
Tim.
All right, man.
Dude.
Jeez, what a noob, man. What a noob.
Not noob, man. Old school skill and whoop some fucking Asian ass, man. Come on, stop that. Stop that shit. When you see some shit. Anyway, Tim, thank you so much for joining us once again. With you guys, final thoughts and shout out for you, Tim. Go ahead and promote what you got to promote and just go from there.
Sub up Lords of the Long Box, search me. What's funny is people are like, oh, this channel just started. But if you search Lords of the Long Box on YouTube, there's videos that go back like 3 years from people who were like doing like my 3,000 subs contest, or people just shouting me out. And so we've been around for a minute, man. We're just rebranding. That's our rebooting. So yeah, we'll be live again this Wednesday, as we ever do every Wednesday. I'll be on hanging out with the fellows from the Comic Book Fiend Club. If you know who they are, they're big on Instagram. Really cool cats that I've known for a while. I want to be on their show, and hopefully we can talk about a cool partnership that I'm going to do with the Comic Book Fiend Club. That's going to be pretty cool, I think. And that's it, man. I will see you, and sub up 3 Men in the Basement also. That's Otto from the Grotto and Nemesis Prime. And they're going to be with us, and we're going to be rocking this Wednesday at 6 p.m. Pacific. And I actually got some a long-term spec list that's coming out, meaning the books that you can get on the download that may pop.
Hey, you guys heard it, man. TiVo dropped some exclusive information tonight, so check that out. If you're just joining us right now, watch this on the rewind. He's got some really good information, and join him Wednesday night with 3 Men in the Basement, Otto from the Grotto, and Nemesis Prime. They're going to probably spit out some really good content for you guys. As far as me and Ray goes, we'll come out every once in a while, do a little comic talk. Eventually, I think we're going to probably we talked about doing a reunion comic talk with the old guys from the old school, even bringing in old Paney's comics from the other side of the pond, just once again.
Man, I haven't seen it in a minute.
Yeah. So good guy, good people's right there, man. But anyways, hey guys, once again, thanks for joining. TiVo, once again, thanks for joining us. Ray Jr., he's about to fucking do another move up there on the West Coast. So if you guys don't know, it's going to be closer, a lot closer to you, TiVo. Matter of fact, I even told him that the next Emerald City Comic Con coming up, I'll be down there.
Actually will probably be there as well.
So if you get a chance, TiVo, let's do a link up, man. Let's do a link up. We can, do a little.
We got Doctor Strange. There we go.
Yeah. So I'm going to tell you guys right now, I'm keeping my calendar clear for the next Emerald City Comic Con, which is going to happen in Washington State. If you guys are going to be there, hopefully you guys will come up, say hi to us, myself, Ray Jr. TiVo says he's probably going to be there as well. Hopefully we get
some business opportunities at Emerald City Comic Con, so I can't talk about it right now, but some big things happening. So
much success. I know Tim, I know you've been doing this for quite some time, and I know there's you know, a lot of things that you love about doing comic book related stuff, movies, anything that connects to that. So much success, man. Much positivity to you.
I would like to do this for a living. So if anybody wants to hire me so I can quit my regular 9 to 5, I want to do geek shit for a living. You know what I mean? I may be a little bit too long in the tooth now. If I was a younger man, you never know. Well,
once again, man, hey, TVO, thanks a lot, man, for coming on. I really appreciate that, man. Take care of yourself. Ray, anything else, man?
No, that's it, brother. Like I said, I enjoyed being on the show tonight. It's a long time coming.
Let's all pitch in to get Ray a microphone for next time.
Go fund me.
I'm going to get that. Since the Army's going to pay me to move, I'll go ahead and use that money to buy me one.
Yeah, get some lighting too, brother.
Get a blue Yeti, man. Just get a blue Yeti and you're good.
It's a blue Yeti right here. Test 1, 2, 3, test 1. Okay, we've gone on bullshitting enough, guys. Hey, you guys take care of yourself. Thanks for joining us. Like I said, everybody on the chat, everybody who's commented, everybody asked questions. Once again, really, really appreciate you guys coming on and supporting us. Hopefully we guys will see you guys soon. Take care of yourselves. Be safe out there, guys.
Peace.